How you been doing?
Not too bad. Not too bad. What about yourself?
Yeah, pretty good, pretty good. I just trained just buys and tries today. Only had like 45 minutes or so tried to knock it out as quickly as I could. What about you?
Yeah. Today, lower body, and
Okay.
then tomorrow and Wednesday we'll do upper. The show is Saturday, so kind of just like
Hmm.
maintaining everything and kind of chilling out because we leave on Thursday to head to Chattanooga. So
Got it. Got it. Well, that's super exciting. Well, before we really get into it, first and foremost, I'd like to thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
yeah, thanks for reaching out. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, of course. So you said that lower body. How often do you train, lower body?
So we have 3 lower body days, and I
Mhm.
only have one upper body day, actually.
Got
So me having 2 upper body days this week, I'm like super stoked, actually.
Is it just because with wellness that's kind of what they're looking for, or like do you feel like your upper body is already, developed enough?
A little bit of both. So with wellness, you are of course more focused on that lower body area. Like with like physique and bodybuilding, they kind of want the triangle versus with wellness, you kind of want the regular triangle versus the upside down triangle.
Right.
But also I do upper body and I'm just like I pop out like that quick.
Hmm.
I got to try not to. And I wish my lower body would do that as quick as my upper body does. That would be awesome. But yeah, it's a little bit of both.
Everybody's got their own genetics, right? Like
Yep, yep,
some things just develop extremely fast and other things take a little bit longer, a little bit more
yep,
work.
yep,
So
for
so
sure.
how did you get into just working out and training? I saw on your page that you said you used to drive trucks. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, I did. My husband and I did that together for a little over 2 years. We
Mhm.
traveled the country together, so we did the whole lower 48. I crossed all of the states off except for Alaska and Hawaii. So we did that for a couple of years.
Hmm.
As far as getting into like working out and stuff, right before I met my husband, probably about 5, 6 years ago now, I used to be 230 plus ish pounds. I stopped stepping on the scale at 230. So I don't know how heavy I really got, but I stopped stepping on the scale then.
Hmm.
So I kind of started working out. And when I met my husband, I was actually only about 30 pounds down. And then I kind of just kept it going. Even on the road, I had, dumbbells in the truck, I had some bands in the truck, and we did flatbed. So a lot of my upper body, tightening our own, securing our own loads and stuff like that, took a lot. So
Uh-huh.
just kind of kept diving into it.
Yeah. So at what point did you decide to, well, there's a difference between just working out and competing and getting into like bodybuilding, the industry. And so, there's plenty of people that work out, but small percentage of them actually compete. So when
Yeah.
did you decide, okay, well, this is what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to step on stage.
Probably, well, it was last year.
Hmm.
Little over a year ago now. I lost all of the weight that I wanted to lose at one point, and I did it without working out. So I went from one extreme to the other that I was super overweight, and then I just focused on the scale, the scale, the scale, and eating, and I lost the weight, but then I wasn't balancing with working out. So I went from super overweight to like super skinny with no curves, no nothing,
Yeah.
nothing happened. And then over the course of several years, I did that whole roller coaster thing where I blew back up for 30, 40 pounds and then I would go back down again. And I just finally kind of said, like, enough is enough. And I wanted a challenge that I could actually stick with. I wanted something new to challenge myself, give me a direction. I kind of lost my direction and lost my drive.
Mhm.
And kind of already being on social media, I started being surrounded by it, and I don't know how it kind of started getting in my algorithm, but it did. And I started following people. Julia Renee was one of my biggest influences that I
Hmm.
first started watching. I don't know how she came up on my feed, but I loved her look. And I was like, I just need something to redirect my focus and give me a new drive, give me a new focus, give me a new discipline. Because I've never
Hmm.
stuck with anything before. Yes, I've lost the weight, but I lost it and then I kept it, coming back on. So again, the roller coaster. So I wanted something that I could like see all the way through. And I said, why not bodybuilding? Let's do it. So I found my
Mhm.
coach, Allie. She's local here in Knoxville, and
Mhm.
she's been working with me since, gosh, was it September of last year? Um, and I came across, it was an angel competition bikini. They do a like a fashion show type deal that's just for fun
Mhm.
at all these different bodybuilding shows. And I was like, okay, well, let's start small. Let's see if I can even bring myself to want to be on stage in front of people.
Mhm.
And so we kind of went through like a mini cut. It was like a mini 6 or 7 week cut when I first hired her. And we did that together. I did the show. And then I was like, all right, I need to do this. And so we
Mhm.
just dove in from there. And that was November of last year. So a little over a year that I've stuck with it.
Okay, so is this your first
Yep.
official show that you're
My
going
first
into?
official show. Yep.
That's super exciting. It's like, so
I'm so excited.
how are you feeling?
I am actually super excited. I am super stoked. I'm so happy. I can't see straight. I never knew that I could get to this level. So this right
Mhm.
here, like already getting to the point of showing up Saturday, like that's my accomplishment. I
Yeah.
have no, of course, everyone wants to go and win and do the things on their first show, but
Right.
honestly, just stepping on that stage alone is going to be my biggest accomplishment, and I'm so excited.
Yeah, so I actually I met Julia last year at the Arnold. I think it was
Yeah,
last year. And so yeah, she was super sweet. I mean, it was very nice girl. And so like it's nice to meet somebody that, that has a large following, that is big in the fitness industry, and then you meet them and they're just as nice as they appear to be on social media.
yeah,
Sometimes that's not the case, and so
absolutely.
you get really disappointed. But with her, she was really really sweet. So
She was great. Yeah.
yeah, I'm always like on, on her team, so to speak. So yeah, that's so are you planning, like, are you already at this point planning to hit other shows, after this, or are you just strictly focusing, on this Chattanooga show first?
Strictly focusing on Chattanooga first. Don't have anything on the books for right now.
Hmm.
For going into that, kind of just wanted to make sure I could survive the first one before
Hmm.
we decided. But Coach and I kind of talked. My husband and I kind of talked as well. Um, Probably going into like a little bit of a recomp, get me a little bit more build,
Hmm.
and then maybe talk about some fall shows going into next year.
Yeah. Part of the biggest hurdle that like most competitors, or like as far as like the clients that I have, the ones that just are just initially starting out, is just having enough muscle. That's really a lot of it, is just comes
Yeah,
down to that. And you can't, it's very hard to speed that up. That's an improvement season after improvement season type of thing. And so
right.
so yeah, but if you've got, I mean, if you've got the passion and you've got, the desire to push the weight and eat the food, it will definitely happen. I've seen people make tremendous progress in just 1 year, 2 years.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the people have gotten pro cards within like 1 year. So is,
Yeah,
is,
absolutely.
is that your, ultimate goal to go pro?
I'd love to. I'd love to get my pro card. That would be, I don't know, that would be just amazing for me.
Hmm.
Like I said, I've never pictured myself as being someone who could even get to this level already. So pro card is definitely on the board. It's on my vision board.
Yeah. Do you have like, when you decided that you were gonna compete, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna step on stage, did you have small goals, like, like, I want, by this point I want to get to this level, and by this point I want to get to this level, or was it just like one major goal in your mind, I want to step on stage, and you just were pushing through just to get to that point?
Just pushing through. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to prove to myself that I could stick to something for
Hmm.
so long to just get to that point. In my fitness journey up to now, I'd kind of given myself like goals and goals and goals. And I just kind of like fell off of those. So I wanted to kind of like draw it out a little bit longer and see how far I could push myself, how much I could stick with it. So this right here is has been one of my biggest accomplishments to date. So I'm kind of excited to see. it's been such a learning process with myself in general of how my body reacts to, how it reacted to the bulking, how it's reacted to prep this whole time because we've been through a 20-week prep. So this has been super great. But it's been a learning process. So it's going to be really fun to take everything that we've learned through this prep and kind of channel it into the new in the next season
Mhm.
and figure out how we can kind of adapt and adjust and grow from there.
Yeah, and I might be putting you a little bit on the spot, but how did your body react to the prep? Did you find it to be difficult? Did you find it to be easy? How like what parts worked, what parts didn't? And again, I know I'm kind of putting you right off the bat off the
You're
spot on the
good. You're good.
spot, but if you remember anything from that prep,
So my coach says that I'm an anomaly because I actually have loved prep. Um, my body reacts a little bit differently.
Mhm.
Bulk was actually not good for me. I did not enjoy my bulk.
Mhm.
I think we ended up doing like a little bit too much food. My body holds on to it, and I don't know if that's just a combination of course genetics, but also used to being overweight and things like that. My body just held on to it. Between that, I was sick for a month, and I kind of just really blew up more than what I cared to
Mhm.
for bulking, and I was lethargic. I was tired. I didn't feel strong. So going into prep and coming into this cut, I have felt incredible. And she's laughing at me like even now, 5 days out, I've got so much energy. We worked out on Saturday and she was like, well, we'll just do 3 sets and kind of push, push, push. I was like, no, let's do a drop set. Let's do this. And she's like, how do you have this energy? I was like, it just what works for me.
Uh-huh.
So I've actually really loved prep and cutting. It's
Yeah,
crazy as that it is.
Yeah, most people are like dying, like during especially like 5 days out, we're talking like they're barely functioning, I've had people on the podcast that were like close just like you, very close to their show and I mean they're so lethargic. So you're saying like for you it was the opposite when you were
Yep.
bulking, you were more lethargic.
Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting how like the body works, right? So when you're saying that you hold on to the weight during the bulk, are you the do you have the type of physique that you build muscle easily, um but then you also kind of gain fat easily with that, or are you
From
or
from
is
what
it
it kind of
something else?
seemed, like I said, I'd gotten sick and I kind of did like a little bit of a dirty-ish type bulk. I didn't exactly do everything that I was supposed to as far as food
Hmm.
and stuff
Hmm.
goes, but I also think that my food intake was a little too high. I mean, I was close to like 2,700 calories, something like that, 2,800 calories, which for me being 5'2" and who I am, it was too much.
Yeah.
And it held on to it. And I don't feel, and this is just me personally, and I know
Hmm.
that like my husband's seen something different, my coach has seen something different. But I felt like I held on to it and I developed more fat than I did muscle. Now
Hmm.
coming into the cut, I've seen, the muscle and the definition and things like that, but I think going into, my reverse and starting to bulk again, I think that with less food, but I can kind of
Yeah.
build better than more fat.
Yeah, there's definitely a threshold. I was just talking to one of my clients and we were discussing like the next improvement season, and I was telling him that, that we're definitely gonna up the calories. We're definitely gonna push, but we have to be cautious because if you go too far beyond that threshold, all you're doing is just gaining excessive body fat that you're gonna have to lose
Right,
when your cut comes. So that's a lot of work to lose all that body fat. So, if we can just keep the calories high enough to build the muscle, but just keep the body fat to a minimum, like that's the ideal. Of course, it's easier
right.
said
Of
than done. You have to,
course.
balance everything, nutrition, training, and all that to get that accomplished. But yeah, I totally agree with you. I think sometimes competitors will enjoy the bulk too much and
Yeah.
then they get out of shape and when it comes down to it, it just takes so much work to take all that body fat off. Who
I
wants to do
definitely had
cardio?
to pay for it with the cardio
Yeah,
coming
who wants to
into
do cardio
it.
for like 2 hours a
Definitely.
day?
Definitely, yeah.
What kind of cardio do you do usually, like when
Um,
you're in the gym?
treadmill usually.
Hmm.
I prefer the stair stepper. Again, I know
Yeah.
that that's crazy. But we switched it up to stair stepper. I did treadmill for a little bit, kind of starting out. I just don't feel like it really activated as much for me.
Hmm.
Stair stepper, I feel like it did. So
Hmm.
we've kind of been mostly just keeping it to the stair stepper.
Do you feel like you keep your legs while you do the stair step? Some people say they kind of lose their legs a little bit when they do
See,
it.
I feel like I can activate them more when I do the stair
Hmm.
stepper. I'm driving with my heels or I'm driving with my toes, so I can work different parts of my legs while I'm doing it. So I feel like that helps me personally
Yeah.
to keep my
Ma-
legs.
Maybe it's also the way people work the stair step, or sometimes, you'll see people just kind of leaning over it. I've been guilty of that. Like just kind of just
Yeah.
mopily, like just going up the stair step with no intention. And maybe in your case, like if you're intentionally squeezing as you're going up,
Yes.
it's making a difference.
For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, that's what I felt anyway when I did. But that intentional, I mean, don't get me wrong. When you start getting up to 30, 40 minutes, 50 minutes, whatever, I will
Hmm.
slump with the best of them. But definitely starting and, stepping with that intention and that squeeze and feeling that drive through the back of the hams, the glutes and everything, I think it helps with the shape for sure.
Yeah, yeah. What's your if you had to pick one leg exercise that like, let's say, you know, you're on an island somewhere, you only have one exercise that you're going to do for legs. Like what is your favorite and the one that's going to give you the most, effect, let's say,
Leg press.
results? Leg presses.
Give me a leg press. Yep.
Okay, what kind leg presses from like an incline position, like where you're
Yep.
kind of
I
okay,
don't like the
okay.
seated ones. I like give me the down the floor, incline
Yeah.
legs up. Yeah.
Like the plate loaded?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Plate
Those are
loaded is my
good.
jam. That's my
The,
jam. I did those today actually.
do you do any like squatting, free weight squatting or no?
Um, we'll do some. I like the safety bar better than
Hmm.
I do the regular bar. I am just
Hmm.
awkward. I've got a bad my right knee is bad, so it kind of takes a toll on me. And plus I'm just uncoordinated, so finding that balance, it's just all weird for me. So we
Yeah,
will do safety bar squat, which I do like. It gives me a
yeah,
little bit better balance holding here versus back here.
sure.
But for squats, we've mostly been doing just a squat machine, which I've really
Uh,
liked. I feel like I can dig a little deeper with that.
yeah,
We kind of came off the safety bar last couple weeks and kind of stuck to the squat machine. So,
got it. It's been pretty like debates off and on in different fitness podcasts about whether to do like free weight squats or versus machines. Somebody like a Nick Walker who's one of the biggest guys on stage, the most muscular guys on stage,
mhm,
really sticks to machines and very like things you wouldn't expect. Like you would expect that he was doing like free weights, a lot of like, weight squats, and he says no, a lot of his training is machines, concentrated, focused. And so so it's kind of sparked some conversation about that.
mhm.
I've actually kind of like started to move in my own personal training, and my clients started to move away from free weight squats. I just feel like sometimes the risk can outweigh the results.
Yeah. I think that both plate loaded versus machines, they definitely have their places for different exercises, but also, I mean, of course, it depends on the person. It depends on, injuries. It depends on how they're set up. Overall, of course, safety is the biggest key.
Sure.
I love the difference of I feel safer in, a plate loaded squat machine because I
Hmm.
have more control and more balance. It's sitting here on my shoulders and I'm holding here, pushing
Right.
up versus, having to keep my balance for
Yeah.
free. But I mean, again, it's potato, potato. I feel like it just depends
Right.
on the person.
Right. 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 Do you train with a partner, or you train solo?
So I do train with my coach
Hmm.
3 days a week.
Hmm.
And then she trains me 2 days a week, and then her and I work out together 1 day a week. And then the rest, I'm either on my own or my husband comes with me. So, which I don't
Got
mind. I
it.
kind of like the variation of all of it.
Yeah, yeah. I've had, many years of training. I think I'm going now I'm going to probably 25, 26 years of hardcore bodybuilding training. And I've had both situations, worked out with a partner for years, worked out by myself for years, worked out with my wife, which and what I do now. And so they both have like they all have advantages, and disadvantages. But I think I like
Yeah.
training with someone there because I feel like they can push you, for extra reps, extra sets that no matter how hardcore you are, no matter how good you are at training, it's very hard to mentally push yourself to the limit. You kind of need somebody there to do that.
Absolutely, especially like if you're not feeling like yourself that day,
Right.
or if you already had to drag yourself to the gym to begin with, you're already like not in it.
Hmm.
I mean, there's some days where I love going, have my headphones in, do my thing,
Hmm.
listen to my music, whatever. But I really do like having a partner with me.
Yeah.
And working out with my coach versus when she trains me is really fun because I like to kind of push her, give her a little bit of payback for her pushing me. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun with it, and then it goes by quick, and you're
Sure.
hurting like hell for the next 2 days. So
Sure. Sure. When do you usually train? In the mornings or
in the
midday,
mornings,
evening?
yep.
Mornings.
So I train with her Tuesdays. Oh gosh, yeah, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays.
Hmm.
Tuesdays and Thursdays is usually 8 to 9 a.m. And then Saturdays we kind of vary anywhere between 10 to 12,
Yeah.
usually kind of like our little bit later days. And then when I go on my own, depends on my husband's work schedule because right now he works 7 days on, 7 days off.
Hmm.
I take him to work. I'm up at 3:40 in the morning and I take him to work and I drop him off by 5:30 in the morning. So when I drop him off, I'll go and hit cardio myself. And so I'm usually
Hmm.
at the gym by like 6. So
Do,
I'm usually
do
fully
you
moving.
do you train like at a and you don't have to say specifically what gym is this like a chain gym? Is this specifically like a bodybuilding gym? Like what
So a couple different ones. The one that
hmm
I work out with them is a local family owned. It's called Frankie's Body Shop. It's really
Okay.
cool. They've got a great setup. It's mostly just trainers. Like you can
Hmm.
pay and have a membership there, but it's mostly just the trainer.
Hmm.
And when you hire a trainer, you just pay the trainer. You don't pay for a
Hmm.
membership plus the training, which is pretty cool. It's a
Interesting. Yeah,
great
that is
setup.
cool.
But it is kind of like an old school feel, type body, like old school bodybuilding gym, which I
Hmm.
love.
Hmm.
And then I do go to Golds. I've got
Yeah.
a Golds local, so kind of
Yeah,
both,
yeah.
hit them both.
You need one of those. Like I go to Crunch and it's the only gym around here that's reasonably priced and has
Yeah.
everything you need. And so um honestly, people can say whatever they want about chain gyms, but some of them are pretty good. And I
Some
feel
of them
like
just have what you need.
yeah, yeah. Like I used to go to Planet Fitness. I'm like, I mean, I hate coming in here, but it's
Yeah.
like I'm just doing what I can. And then I switched over to Crunch. They have all the plate loaded stuff,
Oh yeah.
everything you need. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, I'm trained
Love
there.
it.
Um, so how familiar do you keep up with wellness, like the division, this past Olympia? Like, have you kind of did you watch the Olympia?
Um, I kind of kept up with like the
Hmm.
results. I am not as hardcore, like die hard about it. I'm still
Hmm.
kind of learning. But I did watch the results for
Okay.
Olympia. I do
So,
like
ju
keeping up with that.
so just to kind of like refresh your memory, if you remember Eduarda, won the wellness division. I don't know if you remember what she looked like. Did you
Yes.
did you feel like it was deserved? Did you feel like somebody else should have done better? You thought the play like how did you think the placings played out?
Um, so I know between like I think it was the top two. Who came in
Mhm.
second? What was her name?
Issa, I
Yeah,
think.
I do think I think it was close between the two of them. I
Hmm.
do. I have followed Issa for a little bit now, and I do
Hmm.
like her look. I think that there were just some small similarities between, or
Hmm.
small differences between the two. Um, but I
Yeah.
think they both look great. I mean, that
Yeah.
they both looked amazing.
I definitely think that that the first Olympia champion, Fran, um, if, I think Eduarda favors her the
Hmm.
most. So I feel like they gave Issa won, her title. I believe it was last year, and she beat Fran one of the years, and then so like they kind of like passed the torch on to her. But then
Yeah,
Eduarda came and she kind of mimics that look that I feel like they're looking for because I mean
yeah,
there was a reason that Fran won all those years, and I feel like Eduardo kind of has a similar look to that. So,
yeah.
so that's the look that they're kind of, I think, I think they want to reward. Of course, like in wellness, you have a variety of different looks. Are you familiar with the girl, Tiffany, I think is the name. You have some girls like her who have very like bodybuilder almost legs, right? Like just
Right,
and so you have some girls that are like very, muscular, and then you have some girls that just have like a little bit more flow and an aesthetic look.
right.
Like, what do you think? Do you think, I guess I should say, like, which look do you prefer?
Um, I prefer like a steady kind of in the middle. Like I still want to
Hmm.
see like that definition. I still want to see like that toning, but still with a slight softness.
Hmm.
Not so much of a softness where, I mean, you can just tell I've got some big quads or something like that. I still like seeing like that definition between your quads. I like seeing that definition of the hamstrings.
Hmm.
Again, like one of those fine lines, and of course it just depends on like what competition you go to and what they're looking for, because you can go to some and they're looking for that more, kind of softer, more just aesthetically pleasing, I guess you can call it. And then you
Hmm.
can go to some other ones and they want kind of that more definition, seeing slight lines, slight separation. um it just depends on who it is. I like
Hmm.
seeing a little bit more defined. If I am working that hard, me personally, if I am working that hard, I want to see it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm agreeing with you. I tend to gravitate always to a little more defined in almost every division. So it doesn't matter what the division is. It's just my eyes tend to appreciate a slightly more defined look versus a softer look. But I do understand that like every division has to have its own criteria. And so,
Right.
yeah, sometimes you'll have divisions that are very similar, and so and the criteria start to mesh, and then you don't know what you're actually
Which way are
judging.
you?
Yeah, what,
Yeah.
like, how should you come in? I mean, as an athlete like yourself, I know you're just starting out, but at some point you're going to get to a national level. You're going to start vying for a pro card. You're going to have to look into like, okay, well, what kind of package do I want to bring? And it's important to know like what they're looking for. So it's good to have clear, defined lines.
Absolutely. That's been something that I've kind of learned. Like going back to Julia Renee, I've
Hmm.
watched her podcast, and she just did 4 shows this season. And it was very interesting. I kept up with that. I loved watching it while I was doing my cardio, but I kept up with that. And it was so interesting to see each show that she went to and her placing different and the different feedback that she got for the physique and the package that she brought. Which
Hmm.
of course I thought she was incredible. And again, that's something that like I want to strive for. She's definitely one of my tops. So it was crazy to see how she would, seventh, fifth, fourth, and I think another fourth, like if I'm thinking right. And it was crazy to hear the feedback of like almost how different it was between those shows. And I mean, she did those shows like a week and a half apart. So
Hmm.
her physique, I mean, very slightly changed, but it was just very interesting to hear the different feedback she got.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's I don't really have like any point on that, but yeah, but it's interesting to see, like you said, the feedback that competitors
Hmm.
get, what judges are looking for, and then also, I feel like also how far do you take the feedback that you get?
Right.
Because there's a couple of things, right? Like, one, I mean, it's your body, you live in it, so it's like you don't necessarily, you want to bring the look that you also enjoy as well.
Right.
And then also, you're getting an opinion of one or two judges. There's a whole panel of judges, so
Exactly.
So, you have to kind of
What do you
also
pick
take
and
that
choose? What do you take
right.
from it? Yeah,
Exact 100%. Yeah, I feel like you and me agree on that.
oh yeah,
It's difficult to figure out, but I think the ones that can do that fare, really well.
absolutely, yeah, for sure.
So, I did get some questions that I wanted to ask you. So one question that I got is, how did you um, how did you transition into the enhancement portion of bodybuilding? As you know, most people know, at least the people that are into it, that at higher levels of competing, there's some PED use.
Mhm.
If you did transition to that, and like, what were your thoughts on it? Did you have any considerations? Like any kind of concerns? Like, how did you feel about it?
So honestly, I have been on several things for years, even before I
Mhm.
even got into bodybuilding. My husband he's got two PhDs. He was a doctor. He is, like I said, he's the one that does all of my dosing,
Mhm.
handles everything. It all basically started with, my menstrual cycle coming off of that, having issues there, horrible pains, of course, being on birth control, part of my weight issues.
Mhm.
Um, he took me off of birth control and he balanced my hormones with
Mhm.
testosterone and a couple other things. And I went from never knowing, 7 days to 3 days, no cramping, mood enhanced, dropping weight, no mood
Yeah.
swings, like all the things. So I actually had been on things on and off
Mhm.
before got into bodybuilding. So when it came down to it, and I actually hired my coach, she asked me kind of secretly, she goes, "How do you feel about things?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm already on this, and this." And she was like, "Solid, okay." And so her and my husband are actually they talk.
Mhm.
I just whatever you say, okay.
Uh-huh.
But I think that's also part of what has helped me stay in such a great mood. My hormones have been great. My skin has been so clear. My mood swings, I've not had any. My energy levels are impeccable, and I think him just knowing me, knowing my body, watching how I am transforming, he's adjusted all of my things throughout this entire prep, and it's been amazing.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing that you have someone that's literally living with you, that's so close to you, a family member that is very knowledgeable about these things,
Yes,
because a lot of times, people have to go to outside sources where they don't, the people that they're talking to, who knows what they know, if they know anything. Sometimes,
right.
they don't give the greatest advice, but if you're
It's not bro gym science.
right, it's
Not
actually
just pumping and pumping and pumping. It's listening to my body. It's the whole. He knows all the chemical breakdowns. He knows what interacts with what. He knows what you need to stack with what to make sure me, number one, as a female, it aromatizes and my body takes it correctly. That way I'm not getting all of the muscular features, the facial hairs, all the things. So he's kept me feminine and kept me, in a great mood.
right. So actually, that was another question we can kind of tackle at the same time.
Yeah.
There were another question was, and I'm just paraphrasing it, but how do you keep your femininity
Mm.
with the use of anabolics, with the hardcore training and all that? And I think you kind of partially answered it there, that
Yeah.
that your husband is able to have that knowledge base to
He
keep
does. He has
keep you
just balanced
healthy.
me out. Some people have looked at some of my stacks and they're like, there's no way she's on all of that and still sounds feminine. And I was like, yes, because when you know what you're talking about, and again, I mean that just comes from the scientific level, the chemical level, the
Hmm.
breakdown, the molecular level, not just, oh, okay, well, I know that this one thing does this, so you just need to take it. Well, no, that's not how this
Sure.
works. This one thing needs to pair with these other two things to make sure your body actually absorbs it properly.
Right.
And so that's what he does. And again, he sees any kind of like, you know, slight change, slight issues or anything, and he's making an adjustment. And I have just stayed so great this entire time. So I'm very,
Hmm.
very, very thankful for that.
Yeah, it's funny because I work in the medical field as well, and so with medicine in general, drugs in general, like that's kind of how it works, how you're describing it. Like
Yeah.
there's interactions, there's different things, there's like there's a lot of nuance and so forth. And then when I hear some of these people online talking about and explaining drugs, I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, that is not how that works. Like, it's
Not how
just,
any of this works. Stop
yeah, that's not how
it.
any of this works. It sounds like you just pulled up like an article from Wikipedia and started reading it.
Right.
But the scary thing is some people will definitely listen to that and follow those protocols or those.
It is, and that's so it's one of the scariest things. And I have people that I've again with my social media and everything that I've posted, I'm followed. I've got no problem telling anybody that I'm not natural, and
Yeah.
I get all the time asked, oh well, I would never trust something like that and blah blah. And I said, well, that's the problem. You have to
Hmm.
trust your source. You have to do your research.
Hmm.
These tools are available to use.
Right.
It's no different than in your kitchen. You've got tools that are available to your use. So if you've got a stand
Yeah.
mixer, wouldn't you use a stand mixer to mix something for 10 minutes versus trying to stir it with your hand for 10 if it's going to help you? It's just about doing things in the right way, doing things in a safe way, and doing
Hmm.
your research on it. Again, not going back to like gym bro science and just pumping, 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 pumping. It's about, doing it in a safe way. And so I've used these tools. My blood work is incredible. There is nothing wrong with my blood work. I am perfectly solid.
Hmm.
It's just finding that right knowledge. And it's hard to find the right knowledge, but once you do, you can lock in and it's great.
Yeah, I completely agree. And with people like that, they're concerned or like stigmatize, PED use,
Yeah.
but they'll be the same people that are smoking like 4 packs of cigarettes a day,
Yep.
or
Eating
you know,
junk
or
food
or
and diet
abusing like
sodas.
alcohol, or
Yeah.
eating crappy food that clog up their arteries, and they're perfectly okay with that. But
Of course.
so yeah, there's a lot of hypocrisy,
Oh,
in
thousand
that.
percent.
So are you and be absolutely frank with me if you don't feel like doing this, but are you okay with naming like what you're actually on for the prep for this upcoming prep or this upcoming show?
Yeah, what I'm on now, 25 milligrams of Anavar, 25 Winnie, um, Clen, I think that's 25 Clen. And I've got my actually, um,
You got your diary there, like your
yeah.
your book.
Um, this one, it's an asylum burn. It's my L-carnitine, ATP, Yohim
Hmm.
B12, and Clen, a little bit more Clen, and then a Mick B12 blend. So we've kind of dialed everything back just a little, but still implementing with the Winnie and the Clen to help dry me out. So that's
Gotcha.
kind of where my stack is right now. Oh, I do have just NAD to help with my skin, keep that going, and my melanotan. And yeah, I think that's it
So
right
so
now.
anabolics, you're only doing Anavar and you mentioned something else, I believe, right? Correct?
Winnie, Clen.
When anabolic, that's all you do. That's
That's
actually a
it for right
fairly,
now.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
actually a fairly light stack. I mean, I've talked to bikini competitor. I had a while back, I had a show specifically only on PED use in the bikini division, and
Mhm.
the stacks that they were throwing out was wild to me. Like thinking that girls that small are on that much stuff. And so,
Yeah.
but yeah, so that's actually a very reasonable stack. So,
Yeah, sure,
yeah,
that's everything. Yeah,
yeah.
that's my daily. I do have my oils. I'm sorry, my Primo and Sust.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that's it. Like I said,
Okay.
I think we dialed it back. My Primo and Sust, I think we take twice a week, once or twice a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we
Yeah.
dialed that back a little bit.
Very cool. Yeah,
So yeah,
so that's a good reasonable stack. So let me see here. Let me see what other questions I have for you. Did so another question was, let me preface this by asking, do you have friends that are also in the bodybuilding industry, or are most of your friends outside of that circle?
Mostly outside of that circle.
How do
Yeah.
they, so the question was, how do they, feel, or what kind of response have you gotten from family and friends about getting into bodybuilding?
They've been incredibly supportive, and
Mhm.
I've been very thankful for that. My friends that I do have, it's a very small circle. They have been very, very, very supportive. Super proud of me. They've known me when I was, like I said, overweight, and they've kind of watched my whole journey. And they've truly been incredible. I've been
Mhm.
very, very thankful for the support that I've gotten, not just from family and friends, but from um,
Mhm.
my social media following in general. I've got some people that have been here since since before implant surgery. I mean, I'm talking like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And so they have watched my roller coaster over the
Hmm.
years, and I'm very thankful for the community that I've built. It's been incredible.
Amazing. Beautiful. Another question was, having a significant, social media following. How do you feel social media has influenced, for lack of better terms, fitness and training and bodybuilding, and just personal physical image of people? Do you feel like it's a benefit? Do you feel like it can be detrimental? Like, how overall do you feel about that?
Um, I feel like it's dangerous,
Yeah.
honestly. Again, it's one of those things like with trying to find information about any kind of anabolics or anything. It's finding the right information. It's finding the
Mhm.
right person that truly wants to help or truly has a story or truly knows what they're talking about. You see all of these fitness influencers that Photoshop and
Mhm.
create this kind of fake image of who they are and what they are and what they look like, and so it gives this false image of a woman's body. And it's
Mhm.
not saying that things aren't attainable and things aren't achievable, but um, you know I think it's dangerous. It can make a lot of women feel like that's something, and that'll even happen to me sometimes. Even now, body image is huge for a lot of people. Women, it's big for us too, and it's still hard for me now, even being where I am and getting to this point. I'll still scroll through social media, and I'm like, well, I don't look like her. Well, I don't look like her, and I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
let's put this down. That's enough. Because you only show what you want people to see. Not everybody shows the
Mhm.
nitty gritty. Not everybody shows the dark side, the growth, the ugly side of it. So you're
Yeah.
only seeing this little tidbit, and they think that that's this picture of perfection, and it's just not. Stop.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I feel like it's a double-edged sword, right? And as far as like people being free to talk about gear and everything like that, it's on one hand, it's great to be transparent, to talk about what you use, like just like we did. But then on the other hand, it can be very you know dangerous because you don't know what information is out there. People are putting out stuff on social media that's not necessarily true. The images that they put out are often modified.
Mm,
At the least, they're modified with like filters and little things like that. At the most, now you have incredible AI machines. They can modify like pictures that to make
yeah.
you look amazing. So it gets tricky. And so, like you said, people coming up, you know, even if they're mentally aware, even if you're mentally aware of these things happening, like you said, in your case, like you might look through something and still feel that way. You know that there's AI out there. You know that they're modifying their pictures, but it still
Yep.
can have that effect on your mind, even though, logically, that's the case. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's hard for sure.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Okay. I feel like the rest of the questions we kind of answered in the show.
Yeah.
A lot of them had to do like with, your training split, how you got into bodybuilding and so forth, which I feel like we kind of covered.
Yeah.
So, I'm very grateful for you coming on the show. I really appreciate it. I know you're 5 days out. There's a lot going on, a lot of preparation. So I'm wishing you well.
Thank you.
And I hope everything works out just the way that you want it to.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And it's been a pleasure. Thank you. I really appreciate you reaching out. This was a lot of fun. Kind of
Yeah.
get me even more excited about Saturday. So I love it.
Absolutely. And guys, I'm going to link everything at the bottom here. So for Kira, just in case you want to reach out or you just want to follow her. So, all righty. Well, thank you so much. You take care. Have a good night.
Thanks. You too.
Okay. Bye
See
bye.
ya.